and welcome to this review of my ND75, which I think stands for Not Defined. This was sent in by someone from Melitrix together with the Boog 75, which is a Melitrix product, whereas this is sold by, or at least through, Chilkey, and it's not on the Melitrix website, so I'm not entirely sure who or what made this. Regardless, they've sent me one, and now we're going to take a quick look at it. I'm going to kick off with the switches because for once I'm doing a review on something with bog standard MX type contact based switches again, as opposed to the Hall effect switches I've been doing a lot of recently, but it's nice to go back to basics again every once in a while, I guess. The ones in this particular keyboard, and which are also advertised the most, are these Chilkey WS Dopamine Blue switch, which is a type of Everfree switch, which is a type of Gateron switch, which is a type of Cherry MX clone, except it has a few standard modern accommodations, such as being compatible with SMD backlighting, being pre-lubricated, and it also has a dual stage and rather long spring. The travel characteristics are a bit different though, having a shorter throw at 3.6mm and a lighter weighting than MX Red at 20 to 53 grams as opposed to 30 to 60. That said, I didn't get that many problems with actuation happening too easily, which is a bit surprising, and I think it's because it still actuates at 2mm and around 45 grams, which is where it's also at for MX Red. In fact, they don't feel all that feather light, I would say. That's it, I did still make a lot of mistakes typing on this keyboard though. They do feel very smooth with that typical buttery feeling that you get on lubricated switches rather than the airy feel you get on contactless ones, but I still wouldn't place them in the same category because contactless switches are quite superior in ways like durability, response time and adjustable actuation, plus the smoothness isn't quite the same, but suffice to say that this doesn't suffer from the typical cherry switch scratchiness. Now the real thing that caught my eye, of course, is this little screen thing here, which has several uses. One thing is that you can upload GIFs into it. Yeah, GIF. I don't like the name either, but that's what the creator says they're called, so don't take it out on me. But anyway, I couldn't find an English manual on this, or really even a place to download this software, so I couldn't test this out. But the main draw for this is twofold, as a clock and as a GUI, which I suppose should be called Dewey. So the clock mode shows time and date, which I didn't set because again I had no idea how to do that, as well as the status light indicators, but they're absolutely tiny and really hard to see, but nonetheless they're there, so that can be useful I guess, but the main advantage for me would be the GUI. So if you press FN++ or minus, you cycle through the menu. Now, by default, this is all in Chinese, but I was able to get it switched to English, which is not as easy to do as you think, because if you look closely, it never selects the language option for the languages. Instead, it does speed, volume, speed, brightness. But that's a visual bug. The first speed is actually the language. Apart from that, there are also menus for the Bluetooth Connect, for System, which is Windows or Mac, and Effect and Color, which control the backlight. Now, basically what this does is give you something other than just a hotkey to control these things, though it does also still have hotkeys for all these things. I must admit it's a nice bonus or something, but not something I would buy this keyboard for specifically. Now, if you look at the Effect menu, they didn't even name the backlight effects. It's just effect 1, effect 4, etc. So you're gonna have to cycle through them anyway to try them out, which kind of defeats the point over having only hotkeys. Overall, the screen looked cooler than it turned out to be in the end, I think. The rest of the keyboard is fairly standard really. The keycaps are nice thick double shots. They refuse to say on the website which material it is, which by the way almost always means it's ABS, and so I tested them and sure enough ABS it is. But I like them anyway. They look good, simple and classy with top left legend, so it's all good as far as I'm concerned. Though the lettering on the enter key is pretty shit. The case is aluminium, again something that's becoming more and more of a standard on keyboards nowadays, and in fact it's got all sorts of shite on the inside with quick detached layers, plastic mounting plates and a slew of foam in there of all weird sizes, and all of these things personally I consider to be completely useless, but I'm sure there are some of you who will like that, so I won't judge. One thing I really don't like is the back though. It's got this bare piece of machined aluminium here, but there are these really obvious CNC marks on it which stand out so much that it looks like it was done deliberately, but frankly I think it looks like arse. It's not painted either, even though on the website it looks like it should be, and this is not a prototype. Also, the logo looks like crap, and it has no model sticker or brand name on it anywhere, which is kind of weird. I mean, I promise I'm not cranky or anything, but this just really doesn't do it for me personally. Thankfully, it's on the underside. The RGB is also really bad. It may be easy to control via that GUI, but it's bundled terribly. The light curdles like milk in a sauna, which isn't helped by the default lighting being just pure white. Yeah, this is white, by the way. And anytime you move your eyes while any part of this keyboard is in view, you just see it separated into red, white, and blue instead, which looks like crap and is a mark of bad backlighting. I've tried to replicate it on my phone, as you can see here, but in reality it looks much worse than this. Thankfully, the keycap legends are non-shine-through, so you don't have to see it too much. Admittedly, it is rather cheap at only about $100, which is not that much. That's about $40 to $60 cheaper than, for example, an equivalent Keychron Q series keyboard, to name one of the many keyboards this competes with. And you do get a screen for it, although I think a Keychron Q is a better and better looking keyboard overall too, as well as better made, as this thing had some intermittent small issues as well, such as the spacebar stab crapping out occasionally as well. And I think a volume wheel is more useful than this particular implementation of a screen, and it's only available in this layout, not ISO like the Keychron is, etc. For me, it's just too many disadvantages and not enough, or more specifically not good enough unique selling points in a market segment that has many options to choose from. There are ways to do screens properly, but such a tiny one on such a tiny form factor probably just isn't gonna cut it. I still pray for the day 8BitDo makes a new Focus FK8000, because that's gonna be the tits, but this just has too few applications in my opinion, even if you can display cute critters on it. That's it for this review. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed it, and following is a typing demonstration of me typing on this keyboard.